have an exciting project to tell you about called RMRK App. This is something that I have made a purchase in, so this is my declaration of interest. I have skin in the game. This is not supposed to be financial advice. As I say in all of my videos, this is educational. This is something that you may find interesting within the Polkadot ecosystem, and you may buy tokens eventually or get involved, but I'm not saying that you should. I did because it appealed to me on a personal level, and it's well within my budget, so I'm controlling my own risks. I did my own research, and I was satisfied to the level that I'm comfortable with the risk. You really have to be doing the same. You have to be comfortable with the risk, and that's like almost every trade that you ever make in life. You should be comfortable with the risks as best as you can be. Do as much research as you can, and this is not perfect research. Just so we're clear, this will probably help you, but you can't learn everything here, right? That's kind of the point I'm making. So do not rely upon me as like the single source of truth. Who knows? There's risks. It may never deliver, and there's a whole bunch of other risks that I'll cover later. But I thought this one was interesting, which is why I'm obviously here, and maybe this is why you clicked on the link to watch what I'm going to tell you about it, because you probably thought, oh, this could be interesting. And yes, I think it is interesting. So the first thing is, what is RMRK? So this is a way to deploy NFTs to any substrate chain, regardless of whether they have smart contracts there or not. So in a substrate chain like Polkadot or Kusama, you have the option to deploy the smart contract palette. It used to be called a module in my day. Then they changed it to palettes. It's weird kind of naming. I wouldn't have called that. Whatever. It's a palette. There's a smart contract palette. You have the option to include it in your substrate chain or not. The relay chain for Polkadot and Kusama don't have that palette, and therefore you cannot have smart contracts on the actual relay chain. That's a design decision to make those chains as simple as they need to be. The parachains obviously will have smart contracts, but there is a little trick that you can play where you can actually add some information, some metadata, shall we say, inside a transaction that you put onto the relay chain. So inside the metadata, you could say something like, mint this NFT, and some numbers to kind of identify that NFT. This is basically what RMRK is doing. It's the colored coin approach from 2011, arguably 2012, 2013. It's been done a few times. You'll see it around. It's not super common. Not everyone knows about it, but it is a valid approach. It's not the only approach. There's pros and cons, but this is like a cool way to get going. That's what they're doing here. So you could have NFTs on the main Kusama or Polkadot relay chain by using this trick. I believe the app itself will let you to mint and trade the NFTs. I know there's like a website they've just launched called Singular, where you can also there's like an explorer, and I can't remember if you can mint NFTs there, but I believe you can trade them. I guess the point is, we will see NFTs across multiple parachains of Kusama and multiple parachains of Polkadot, so there needs to be a nice way to pull them all together. RMRK is not the only app in this space. It's not the only project doing NFTs in Kusama Polkadot. There's a number of them. There's overlap between all of them in one way or other. So, not getting involved now doesn't mean you lose out on all of NFTs or anything crazy like that. It doesn't. I just thought this one was particularly interesting. Again, why I'm making a video. One of the things that kind of caught me here, not just because of the colored coin approach, which is kind of neat, you can add that to any substrate chain, but the ideas later kind of at the bottom of the slide here, they're talking about art Legos. It's really kind of NFT Legos. composable NFTs. So NFTs owning other NFTs, or affecting how they look. So it's like, you have a bird and you want to give that bird a hat. So the hat could be a separate NFT, and you put the bird and the hat together as two separate NFTs, and you could render how that looks in some web app. That's maybe not super interesting for everyone, but there's obviously a use case there. Boosting APY, so this is like obviously about the percentage returns that you'll get in DeFi. I probably couldn't even explain that well enough for this video, to be honest. Sharing revenue, sure, it's just, you're showing some sort of fractional ownership. Reacting to emotions, yeah, I think this is inside the RMRK App. It's actually a feature that they have now, and then obviously you can get them governed by DAOs. We're already seeing that in Ethereum, so it's not really a surprise that that's going to be here. There's not really much more I guess I can say on that. It's just that there's like the general kind of flavor. And if you're wondering about the name RMRK, it's actually to do with the function within the code. So there's a call within the code, something like system.remark, and it's a way for you to insert some metadata into a transaction, basically within a substrate chain, and that's why it's called RMRK, because you're sending a remark. Basically, it's like graffiti. You'll hear maybe the team talk about graffiti. That's what it is. So who's the team? Now, the team is, I'll be honest. There's 4 people here, and there's 3 of them I don't know. The one that I do know is Bruno, who's the team lead. And he was an old colleague of mine whenever I was at the foundation. We worked alongside each other, different teams, but obviously I've met him, I know who he is, we chatted a bit while we were working there. We're still in touch even though I've left. And I have faith in him to deliver a product. I think he has that ability to deliver the product just because of his focus, also his maturity, his age, like a number of factors which I try to look for whenever I'm looking at a team. I'm really kind of assessing one person than the rest of the team, but I'm kind of making the guess, shall we say, that he's picked his people correctly for what he's trying to do. Anyway, not much more I can say on that, but as he's a friendly person, and that was appealing to me. This is obviously a personal connection, as I said, so that's not going to be something that you have. It's not going to appeal to you because you don't have that personal connection. So that's why, again, this is not meant to be financial advice. I'm saying what I did and giving you a little bit kind of flavor about what RMRK App is. I'm not even sure if there's been many videos on the actual app yet. So this would be one of the first, and a valid source of education. So I guess this is like in addition to the app itself. This is the form of fundraising that they have. They have something that they've called an NFT ICO, or maybe that was my phrase. I don't know. I think these guys have called it NFT ICO somewhere. It doesn't matter. Kanaria, they're basically selling eggs, and the eggs are NFTs. And then eventually these eggs, as you can see in the slides, will hatch. That's the idea. I thought this graphic was kind of cool. It was quite cool art. I think this is kind of like a marketing hook. That's how I'm seeing it. Now, the interesting thing is here, while it's kind of ICO-like, it's to the public, so anyone can buy an NFT. You don't have to be some sort of fund or whatever like this, or sophisticated investor. Of course, with the US and China, there are restrictions, there's rules. I don't know the exact ins and outs, so I guess be prepared that if you're from the US and you're interested, you may not be able to get involved. That's the way it is. The more interesting part here, so the NFT, I don't know much about NFT valuations. It's not me. I don't really get them. NFTs are interesting. They've got useful functionality. Valuations, no idea. But they have a second component to this ICO, which is the fungible token part. And I feel like I understand fungible tokens. That's kind of more my domain of where I feel happy. And they will be distributed via a airdrop, which we're going to go into in the next slide, next page. Yeah. So what we have on, I know there's a lot of information here. It's not a perfect slide. We have a picture here on my left, I guess your left as well, the first 15 NFTs. So these are super founder eggs and some founder eggs. All of these have been sold. The ones that you can hopefully see, which are lit up, which are brighter colors, they have been sold, and now those owners have put them up for sale again. But these are pretty ridiculous prices if you ask me. Go check it out on the website and you can see. So what's the deal? There's basically 4 classes of NFTs. Limited edition, rare, founder, super founder. Super founder is all gone. They were 150 Kusama each. Founders, there's 40 left of a total of 90. And then rare is 20 Kusama and limited edition is 2. Obviously, this is the way that you get involved. You have to buy 1 egg to get some sort of fungible tokens later. It's the fungible token part that I understand, as I said, but you can't just buy 1 token or 2 fungible tokens right now. There might be a token sale later. You kind of really have to read on the token page to understand this. There's ifs and buts. It kind of depends if all of the eggs have been sold or not. If all of the eggs are sold, then there'll be no way to buy the tokens later until they hit the market. So whenever the project launches. I'm just thinking to myself, is that correct? At least, well, the tokens are going to be deployed onto statement. And I suppose as soon as those tokens are deployed onto statement, then you'll be able to trade them. But, you know, there's always like ifs and buts. There's always caveats. You need to read the fine print on this token page. I'm not going to cover that here. Of course, the founder and super founder eggs do sound expensive. You know, 100 Kusama is like $40,000 if you're pricing 1 Kusama at 400, give or take. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Even the cheaper ones, you know, if 20 times 400 is like $8,000. That's pretty chunky for a lot of people, but you know, 2 Kusama isn't too bad. I can see if people might be put off with that. If you're just thinking of like, what am I buying? I'm buying an NFT. I'm buying a picture, but you're actually getting a bit more than a picture. There's actually more functionality here. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But again, I kind of almost price this as 0. That's not entirely true. It's not entirely fair, but I'm kind of seeing it as this is the marketing hook to get me interested. They've got some cool artwork, but what they actually have is tokens. Hey, that's the part I understand. So anyway, they want to raise just over 46,000 Kusamas, which is about 18.5 million, priced at $400. And then they're going to generate 10 million RMRK tokens. So this is the fungible token part. Now, how does that split down? Basically, it's pro rata over each of the classes. So if you buy a limited edition egg at 2 KSM, then it works out that you get like 430 RMRK tokens basically. And then if you spend 10 times that, so you spend 20 Kusama, then of course the number goes up 10 times, and so on and so forth, looking at founder and super founder. So that's part of the reason that you might want to have bought a more expensive egg, is because you will get more tokens. So it's not like you're buying like a piece of art and then it's illiquid and then you're stuck with it and no one else wants to buy it, which I kind of fear, because I don't really get the whole NFT market right now, the way that it's created. That's another video. But as I keep saying, there is a part that I do understand, and that's part of the reason I'm interested. Apart from all of the functionality, which I think is cool, it is, you're getting into a project here at less than 20 million valuation, which is a seed stage valuation. Back in December 2020, you would see projects raising sort of at the valuation of 5 million to 10 million. This would have, it sounds pretty crazy if you think about it from like the bear market where we were 2-3 years ago. A new team trying to launch with like a 10 million or even 5 million, valuation off the bat, people might have been a little bit suspicious. DeFi, okay, is something else. Then where we are come forward to like Easter time, sort of late March till now, teams are raising something like, like 10 million minimum valuation, more like 15 million or 20 million, valuation for their seed stage. And this is from teams I meet, this is from private conversations, even teams I don't know or I don't get involved with or I have next to nothing to do with. I have friends that get involved in some of these deals that I don't have access to, and sometimes they tell me what is the valuation. So I know that this is about right for a seed stage team. But what's interesting here is that this is open to the public, essentially to almost anyone, depending on your jurisdiction. You're getting access to a very early stage project, and that is attractive to me because, well, obviously you can kind of do some simple math in your head and say, okay, what if this project was like another project? What if the value of the tokens were to go up? Who knows? I mean, maybe they don't because we can't promise that. But we've also seen the crypto market where sometimes prices do go up. Bull market, eh? Moving a project that's like 20 million market cap, it's easy to move that whenever there's some sustained interest compared to something which is already like 3.5 billion or 4 billion like Kusama or 30-40 billion like Polkadot. The bigger the market cap, the harder it is to move. I know we just seen Ethereum move like 2x in the space of 17 days or whatever, and yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's also a lot of money. It just shows you if that's the amount of money that's floating around in the market, they could move something like this a hell of a lot quicker and a lot faster. Not just quicker, but just so much easier. Anyway, that's just something that I have in my mind, and that's why I thought it was interesting. But of course, there's always risks. If you buy some really early stage team project and it's just a garbage project, you're probably going to lose your money. I hope I haven't lost my money here. No one can really promise me anything on that. That's why it's risky, and I know that. And I'm not going to go hungry because I lose all of my money here. That's the nature of how I've set things up. So. This is, let me just tell you a little bit about the NFTs themselves, which is not something I know a great deal about. The eggs have different traits. This is meant to be, eventually it's going to be birds, essentially. So whenever they hatch the birds, and maybe the birds have different colors, or they'll have a hat, or they'll have, I don't know, maybe it's a cigar or whatever. I don't know what the birds do these days. Obviously, the super founder and founders will have like better traits, or they'll have more traits, or other special things which just make them more expensive because you've paid for that kind of level of NFT. You pay for a better, higher level of NFT is going to have better traits, more unique traits, or whatever. At least that's kind of how I understand a little bit with like crypto punks and substrate punks and whatever. I expect the same here. Again, not my area of expertise. I can't really see much about it. I guess actually, yeah, I should say I probably didn't cover this so well in the previous slide, but I did say super founder sold out. Founder has sold more than half, whereas if you look at rare and limited edition, they actually have the numbers here on this slide, and there's a lot left. So you can still get involved. Again, I think this is going to be available until the end of the end of May 2021. If you're watching this video far into the future, then I think you probably miss out on these eggs. They will have already been sold. But, that's the way it goes. Yeah, and I purchased a couple for myself. I forgot I even added this slide. This is one of the ones that I bought. I bought it mostly for the meme factor for, 69,420. I'm just saying that there's a 0.0 at the end. That's just kind of my dumb way of looking at it. This was to Kusama. This is just one of the limited edition ones. It's nothing particularly special. It's just mostly the meme number. Yeah. One of the interesting things I remember now, because I see it here on the picture, is that you're supposed to get 3 emoji or emoticons or whatever, emotions, on your egg in order to make it hatch. So I should be going to like Twitter and Discord and saying, hey, can you send an emoji to my egg in order to make it hatch? Because you need to have 3 to make it hatch. And this is like a viral marketing scheme, right? You know, if you have everyone who buys an egg to then go out and tell their friends to send an emotion to your egg, you know, it's like, oh, I send it to 3 people, and then the next person sends it to 3 people, and then maybe they buy an egg, and so on and so forth. Again, it's kind of a cool marketing, you know, gimmick. And even if the NFTs have 0 value, you know, you will still get the fungible tokens, which I keep talking about because that's the part I understand. I thought that was kind of cool. I've not seen too many projects do that. I heard that maybe Darwinia is doing something like this. I think that you know, that makes sense in my memory from what I kind of remember. You know, I've been following Darwinia for a couple of years. I met those guys in person, you know, at the Web3 Summit. I know they're doing some sort of gaming, and so it does sound vaguely familiar that, yeah, they're doing NFTs and also doing tokens. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. I just thought it was kind of cool that there's not many teams who are doing this ICO with an NFT and an FT component. So if you do get some tokens, what can you do with them? I know that meme coins are all the rage, and things like Dogecoin, whatever, you know, they don't have any function. Then that's kind of the joke, is they don't have any function. That's why they're valuable, because they're popular. They're meme tokens. You know, I would like to think that valuable tokens will actually be useful in the future. So there will be some demand because you can use them for something. You can use them for something interesting, as opposed to just ha 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 meme. This is the proposed functionality for this token. You have governance, which is very Polkadot-like. I think almost all of the Polkadot tokens, you know, all the parachain tokens will give you some sort of governance. So this is like controlling the overall platform. Minting, so this is saying like to mint Kanaria compatible assets. I actually thought you could mint any NFT this way. So you're going to spend your RMRK tokens, which I expect. Yep, that makes sense. It's like, you know, it's like gas fees, transaction fees, whatever. I don't know all the details there, whatever. Liquidity farming. Yeah, of course. This is also kind of cool. You don't see that with too many projects. Talking about this, the DeFi projects, yeah, like Akala, they're talking about liquidity farming. But here's an NFT focused app, and also the tokens can be used, you know, to provide liquidity, and you could earn some sort of reward, you know, the staking income, whatever you want to call it. Being used as collateral for a stablecoin, that's also kind of cool. You could probably also earn reward there, actually. So it's a little bit different from liquidity farming, the LPing, or liquidity providing collateral, kind of a bit like in Compound, where you lock up your tokens and you get some sort of return. I'm guessing there's probably something here as well. I forget how all of these works. You know, this is, I guess, very much like MakerDAO. And then infrastructure access, which is the last point here. For me, that's kind of a 0 value, because I'm not a dev, and I'm probably not going to be accessing their structure for any data. But if you are a dev, I guess it's a nice little extra kicker. So why not? And yeah, of course, link at the bottom telling you a bit more about the tokens. Now, here is obviously the risks. Well, it's not an exhaustive list, of course, but I think it's the main ones that came to mind whenever I was making the slides. So regardless of how good this app is, and regardless of how good Polkadot is, if the market decides to go into a bear and, you know, crypto winter comes again, you know, everything is going to be, you know, really smashed. The prices will go down, and that'll be that. It doesn't really matter. So that will, of course, mean that the tokens could be worth less in, you know, the near future, in a year from now. So it's not that you will lose all of your money necessarily, but it might be as good as going to zero. Crypto winter means a lot of things. It means that funding dries up. It can mean that jobs are lost, and generally looking to the next couple of risks, like the team fails to deliver because they run out of money, or interest is lost because it gets to crypto winter and people just give up because it's difficult. It doesn't feel like they can ever deliver a product which will make revenue, and they say, okay, this is just not for me. This crypto stuff is just, it's too much hassle, it's too stressful, whatever. These things can happen. That's a risk, and the two are not. The two are kind of tied. The first two are kind of, there's some correlation between the two. Of course, you can still have a bull market and the team just fails to deliver. That happens. It could also be that the team deliver, but the product doesn't quite work as intended, and everyone just gets upset. It's like, oh, but you promised that it would do this and it would do that, but it hasn't. And I'm selling all my tokens, and you just have like a massive sell wall, and the price just really dips, and then maybe it just never comes back up because there's just too much annoyance, too much love lost. And that's kind of also, even at the last point, even if you have a great product and maybe even people like it, but you just don't have enough people using the app to really sustain a high market cap. I mean, 20 million isn't high right now. I don't know that the crypto market caps are really justified right now, but in the current condition, the current climate, 20 million is kind of low. But this is seed stage. That's why it is low. For teams that have launched already, like I did a video in Crust, their market cap was like, 140 million or something. Akala hasn't launched yet, and I think in the chat and in Discord, people were saying that they had almost $1 billion market cap. I think it was like 670 million. And as much as I like the Akala team, they still haven't launched a product, but here we're in a bull market and they're almost $1 billion. So this is something to think about, that a team that hasn't launched yet, 20 million market cap, it is pretty low. So I'd like to think that it has room for growth. I've kept my downside, pretty tight, so I know what I'm going to lose. Also, I know that from some simple math, the team have raised something like 2 million, 2.2, 2.3 million, just by adding up the number of eggs that have sold and the price that they're worth. You add up super founder and founder, I got to like 2 million just from those two tiers alone. The reason I say this is that 2 million is probably enough to get their small team of 4 through the next couple of years. That's what I have in my head. I haven't done like the maths to say, is 2 million definitely enough, but it smells about right. I'm sure they could get through, probably, 4 or 5 years easily with that much money. It might be tough, but I think they can do it. Anyway, that's the risks, some of the risks. Again, do your own research. Links. This is kind of self-explanatory. Like, they have a Twitter, surprise, surprise. They also have a Discord, which I missed here. Kanaria is this ICO that we've just been talking about. That's the link. They have a white paper, light paper. I guess it's white paper, kind of a light paper. It's a lighter version of a white paper. And I think they're even calling it a live paper, so it could change. The URL here is not particularly memorable there, to be honest. But hey ho, there it is. I'll put it in the description for the video. And then lastly is the token description. So this is where I pulled some of the numbers out that you saw in the earlier slides. And then okay, yes, of course, wrapping up with my usual slide that you've probably seen in the last few videos, is that we have a Discord and we have a Reddit, us being Polkadot Market. So this is where I bring people together to talk about projects which are coming up and to talk about the trading and investing side, where we share ideas and kind of have some good conversations. Signal to noise is pretty good. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good, as I say in my previous videos. Again, these links will be in the video description. The Reddit, as I think I probably say almost in every video, we're over 5,000 members now. It's like 5,200, and we are about 4 years old now as a community. So we're one of the oldest ones for Polkadot, actually. So there aren't too many which are older. Anyway, hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully you're now kind of curious now to find out more about how RMRK App works. And remember to do your own research, to own your own risks, and don't go aping into this because you just watched a video about it. That's not really the point of this video. I obviously have an interest in this. I have bought something, so you are aware of me telling you this long before you go over to try to find out anything more about them. I think that's pretty fair. And of course, I welcome you to come to the Discord and to the Reddit and to join us in the Polkadot market community. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.